We have finally made it to the very last lesson of Module 5. It's Lesson 5, Combine Operations with Linear Expressions, and the amazing part is that I made the entire module's worth of video lessons in a single Sunday afternoon, and well, we're rolling on into the evening now, but yay, an entire module worth done in one day. Your lesson goal says students will combine operations to simplify linear expressions, and as you saw, it said this will be a 45-minute lesson. Fingers crossed we can knock this out with a single video. Jillian is decorating her classroom for an upcoming class party. The teacher provided her with 6 boxes of decorations, and the class brought in 17 boxes of streamers for her to use. Each box of decorations had X number of decorations. Each box of streamers had Y number of streamers. When she was finished, she had used the contents of 3 boxes of decorations and 5 boxes of streamers. 3 of the neighboring classrooms wanted to use the leftover decorations. The expression 6x plus 17y minus the sum of 3x and 5y represents the number of decorations and streamers that would be left over. How can you determine how to split the remaining decorations and streamers evenly among the 3 other classes? That's the kind of things we're going to be learning about in this lesson. Example 1 says to simplify -2 times the sum of x and 3 plus 8x. So from here we're going to take and write our answer in factored form, which means that we're going to take and start off by, I believe, distributing that -2 through the grouping symbol. And we're waiting. There, we got it, right when I push the pause button. So they said -2 times x is -2x. -2 times 3, that's going to be -6. Now the next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use the commutative and associative properties to regroup it. But before we can do that, I bet they're going to want to make that pretty problem ugly by changing that -6 into a +6, plus a -6. No, they didn't. They didn't even flip them around. But y'all should remember from a couple lessons ago how to get to here. You got to show me the work. I'll show you in the next example. -2x plus 8x left you with a +6x, and then that -6, it just came down. From there, do the greatest common factor, which obviously is going to be 6 in this one, and they skipped some other stuff here. You can't skip it. I'll make sure you see it in the next example. 6 times the sum or the difference of x and 1, that's going to be your final answer. You can put it here in the box if you want to, but I'm not going to do that. Now when we get to that extra example, I'm going to want you to show the work like you know you're supposed to, and then I want you to take and watch how I do it to make sure you're doing it right. And here's your problem. Go ahead and pause the video and work on it so that you can check it, and then we can see if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, which is going to be the way I expect to see your work on your homework. I set my problem up here, and the first thing we're going to have to do is make this pretty problem ugly. So what I'm going to take, of course I need a pen working. Why is my pen not working? There we go. -4 times 5x plus a -8, making that pretty problem ugly, plus 36x. Well, I just totally screwed up 36x, didn't I? 36x. Now, I'm going to use my distributive property. -4 times a +5, that's going to leave me with a -20x, plus -4 times a -8, that's going to become a +32. And then we're going to have here plus 36x, that one's going to come down. Next, we're going to use the commutative property of addition that says order doesn't matter when adding, and we're going to flip those last 2 terms, which are both addition terms. So I'm going to have -20 plus 36x plus 32. From here, we're going to take and do our subtraction. -20 plus 36, signs are different. Find the difference. That's going to give me a +16x plus 32. Now if you take a look, I'm going to delete what didn't work here because I did screw some stuff up on that one. I have my 16x prime factored, which means that 16x is going to equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times x. And then when we do the 32, 32 is equal to 2 times 16, which is 2 times 8, which is 2 times 4, which is 2 times 2. So what is 32 going to be? It's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. What do they share? They share those 4 2's. And those 4 2's, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So now my greatest common factor is 16. What's left in the first one? It's going to be an x plus 16 times what's left over here. It's going to be a 2. And that means that we're going to have 16 times the sum of x and 2 for our final answer, which when you go back to your answer key, you're going to see that that's the same exact answer they came up with. Example number 2 gives us 3/8 x plus 1/2 times the difference between 1/4 x and 2. Very similar type of problem. The only difference now really is that it involves fractions, and of course fractions are your friends, so let's get started being friendly with them. We're going to start this one the same way we did the last one, using the distributive property, only this time we're going to have to take and distribute this 1/2 right here throughout the grouping symbol, and you're going to see that happen right here. 1/2 times 1/4 x, that's right here. 1/2 times the -2, that's right here. From there, and I should point out that previously they did plus a -2. Now they've acknowledged the fact, plus a -2, that's the same thing as minus, so we're just going to leave it as minus and do 1/2 times the 2. I'm cool with that, kinda, but if they'd had a negative number here, it would have totally screwed you up. But we're gonna leave it here. From here, we're going to simplify that down. 1/2 times 1/4 x is 1/8 x. 1/2 times 2 is going to be 1, because that's 1/2 of 2 is 1. We don't even have to commutative property this sucker. It's already together, and we have a common denominator. How easy can they make this for us? 3/8 plus 1/8, that's going to equal to 4/8 x minus 1. And now, whoa, what common factors do they have? I'm just not really seeing anything jump out to me here. I'm thinking that one is already done. Oh, no, not quite. 1/2 x, I totally missed that. And then from there, they took and said that 1/2 x, and you can type it in here if you want to, minus 1, that's going to be your final answer. I missed the fact that they had to simplify the 4/8, but it's really not that hard. It's just a matter of following through the steps that you know you have to do. Once again, it's going to be your turn to solve the problem on your own. Pause the video, get it done, and let's check our answers. Did you do it? Alright, let's start off with our distributive property. The distributive property says 1/3 times everything in the grouping symbols here, so that's going to be 6/1x. I just made that into a fraction. Minus 1/3 times 3/4 plus 5x. We're going to simplify before we multiply. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 2 times. That'll make that into 2/1x, also known as 2x, minus, simplify again, 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3 once, and that will make that into 1/4 plus the 5x. Now we're going to use our commutative property. To do that, we do need to change this into plus and negative, following the pattern the textbook has given us. So that's going to be 2x plus a -1/4 plus 5x. Now we can flip them. 2x plus 5x plus a -1/4. 2x plus 5x now becomes 7x plus a negative. We're just going to go ahead right now at this point and say, whoa, that's weird. 7x. We're going to take this plus a negative and say that's equal to a minus. Minus what? Minus 1/4. And that is going to be our final answer. Nothing's going to factor out there. So we're going to take right here, type it in, 7x minus Fraction bar. I said fraction bar. Oh, they done screwed me up here now. Let's try this again. Fraction bar, 1 over 4. Accept and check. We have the happy sound. So how about this humdinger? That looks like a big problem, and it wants us to do it in factored form, which means we're going to have to put a little more work into it than we did the last one. You're going to start this one off just like you've been starting off everything else we've been doing, using your distributive property. Whoa, look at that. Did they really just do all that at one time? Okay, let's slow this sucker down, and I'm going to work it by hand for you. Alright, let's do this a little bit easier now. I'm going to do, give me my pen back. Come on, baby. I know you're getting tired too. That's right, there you go. 2/3 times 18x over 1 minus 2/3 times the 12 over the 1, distributing my 2/3 through that, and that of course means minus 6x plus 7. Now we're going to take and we're going to simplify before we multiply. So I'm going to say 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 18 6 times. That's 2 times 6 is going to end up giving me a 12 over 1, also known as just 12x. And that x didn't come out very pretty. Same thing over here. We're going to simplify. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 12 4 times. And when we multiply that out, that's going to end up giving me a minus 2 times 4. That's going to be 8 over 1, also known as 8. And then we're going to take from there, and we're going to subtract, in parentheses, the 6x plus 7 from it. Now, I'm going to take my next step. I'm going to distribute this negative sign through my grouping symbol. So I'm going to leave my 12x alone, minus the 8. We're going to leave that alone. And then we're going to take this negative times a positive, and that's going to give me a negative 6x. A negative times a positive again, that's going to give me a negative 7. From here, we're going to use the commutative property, but before we can do that, we have to make the pretty problem ugly. 6x plus a negative 8 plus a negative 6x plus a negative 7. Now we have the everything is addition. Because it's addition, we can use the commutative property. 12x plus a negative 6x plus a negative 8 plus a negative 7. Now our like terms are together, and we're going to make the ugly problem pretty. So now positive times the negatives, minus 6x, positive times the negative, minus 8, positive times the negative, minus 7. 12x minus 6x, that's going to leave me with 6x, and then minus 8 minus 7, that's going to leave me with a negative 15, with a sign in front of the larger number going in front of your answer. Now, going back here, you can see that's what they came up with to that point. But we're not done, because the problem said they wanted to factor it, and that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to take each one of the terms that are located in here, the 6 and the 15, and come on baby, let's work for me. 6x, if we took and did upside down division on that, 2 goes into 6x 3x times, 3 goes into 3x x times, so 6x is equal to 2 times 3 times x. And then of course 15, that's super easy, that's 3 times 5, so 15 is equal to 3 times 5. What do they share? They share the 3, so the 3 is going to come out front. What's left in the top one? 2 times x, otherwise known as 2x. And then we got a minus sign, and then we're going to use that 3 again, and what's left in the second one? A 5 is. The last thing we're going to do is 3 times 2x minus 5, and we are done. That answer is going to match up perfectly to what the textbook has right here. It's a lot of work, and I can see you getting a little overwhelmed by it. Just take it one bite at a time, and it'll be done before you know it. Alright guys, this is the last thing. We're not doing the apply problem. I'm tired, you're tired. We're going to knock this out. Stop the video, work this one problem, check your answer, and then I'll come back and show you how I do it. Alright, this is the kind of problem that's going to make a man or a woman out of you folks. You can work it, or yeah, you're just a little kid otherwise. So let's show you how we're going to do this. We're going to start off with our distributive property, distributing the negative 2/5 through the grouping symbol. 2/5 times 25 over 1x minus 2/5 times the 45 over 1 plus the 16x minus 6. From here, we're going to simplify. I'm going to say 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 25 5 times. Negative 2 times 5. I'm sorry, I screwed this one up because I should have put a negative sign right there as well. Negative 2 times 5. That's going to end up being 10 over 1x. So I get just a 10x, and it's going to be a negative 10x. And now, right here, I have minus. Simplify again. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 45 9 times. So I'm going to do a negative 2 times 9 is going to be a negative 18 over 1, also known as negative 18, plus a 16x minus 6. From here, we're going to make the ugly problem pretty, multiplying those signs. That's going to give me a negative 10x plus 18. And you know what? These parentheses, they mean absolutely nothing to us now. Plus 16x minus 6, and it's the associative property that says the grouping doesn't matter when adding. Now we're going to take and change to make the pretty problem ugly. Negative 10x plus 18. In fact, we don't even have to do that because we're only flipping these two numbers and they're already positives. So I'm going to take instead and do plus 16x plus 18 minus 6. Signs are different. Find the difference, which is going to be 6x, and it's going to be positive, plus 18 minus 6 is going to be 12, and that is the first phase of our problem, but we're not quite done yet. Now we have to pull out the greatest common factor, which should be pretty obvious to you. The greatest common factor here is going to be 6, so that means I would have 6 times x plus 6 times 2. In our final stage, 6 times the sum of x and 2. That is what we're going to put in for our answer key. So we're going to type in 6 times the sum of x plus 2. Close our parentheses. Please let us be right, and we are right. And with that, I have built an entire module's worth of videos in a single day, and we are ready for you guys to get busy doing your homework. Y'all have a good day.